Welcome to Steps Forward with Ricky, a weekly walking podcast designed to help you take steps forward in your life and your day. Happy Monday. Monday morning. It is here and it's a new day. Hopefully you're taking a walk with me right now. And if you're not, hopefully you take a walk on your own later at some point during the day. Honestly, I really didn't want to show up today. I know it's like not the best way to start the podcast. It's like a new week, a new day, a fresh start, and I'm supposed to be super motivating and inspiring to you. And hopefully this will inspire you, but I really did not want to come today. I literally texted my producer and was like, listen, today is not the day. And I just feel gross. Like I'm a little anxious and I honestly, let's reschedule. And that's a pretty typical thing of me to do, like push, see how far I can push. You know, if the other person gives me enough rope, I'll take it. And he sort of pushed back and was like, I think it's really important that you come today. I don't really have any other spots during the week, etc. And I'm like, I don't really want to come. And I literally, like, even in my head, as I was thinking, like, this is fucking annoying. Like, I don't really fucking feel like doing this today. I got into my car and I drove here and I'm here. And I probably bitched about it the entire time in my head. But somehow I'm here. And I think that that's really, really important. And instead of showing up here and being like, happy Monday, everybody, like, yeah, let's do it. I'm going to be like, hey, happy Monday. I really didn't want to show up today because maybe you don't want to go on a walk. Maybe you don't feel like going to work. Maybe you don't want to work on that project, or you don't want to make that hard decision, or you're just anxious and you can't imagine what it's going to feel like after you work out, or how good it's going to feel, or whatever it is that you don't feel like doing or showing up for. Like, I'm showing up today, so you have to show up today. It's really important to show up because when we show up, we grow up. And I believe that. And I am definitely a person who likes to not show up unless I'm like pushed and forced to. So knowing that part of my personality, it's like I'm happy that I'm here right now because I know that if I wasn't here, then I just would have done what I always did, which is like not show up. So thank you for showing up today. Maybe you put your gym shoes on, or you just put this podcast on, or you just put one foot in front of the other. Like, you showed up, I showed up, here we are together. We'll do this together. Honestly, the topic today it is still going to be about, it's about showing up, but it's also about showing up in all areas of our lives. But mostly I wanted to talk about showing up on social media when you feel lost, or you don't know who you are, or you pivoted, or you just are like, I don't freaking know. I used to do this, now I do this, or I'm anxious, or I'm going through a breakup, or I'm going through a hard time. And like, how do I show up as me? How do I just show up in general? And then like, how do you show up as you? And this has been the biggest struggle for me. It might be a little shocking, maybe not shocking if you've been following me for the last 10 years, or maybe if you've been following me the last couple of years, you'll have noticed that I've gone through all these different transitions, and I've changed my Instagram bio a million times. I've done this, I've done that. And it's not because I might be a little crazy, but it's not because I'm crazy. It's because I'm on a journey and you're on a journey. And when we're on a journey, it's not this linear journey. So sometimes, some years we're showing up, some seasons we're showing up and we feel good about it. And then we make a change, or we go through an obstacle, or something happens in our life where like we're on a different path now. And this honestly happened to me 2 years ago. I was really on one path. I was like just a motivational speaker with owning Break the Weight, a life coach. Like, that's what I was and what I did. And that's how I showed up day after day, like motivating, inspiring, real talk, keeping it real, coaching people on Instagram, on Facebook, in my world. And it was easier for me to show up because I felt like I had a purpose and a path. And then I got really burnt out from life coaching, and Break the Weight was just kind of weighing me down, and I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do with it. And shit started getting complicated, like internally, externally, and on social media. And it feels weird to like talk about social media as like a serious thing, but it's a serious thing because you're putting yourself out there and you're inviting people into your journey. You're vulnerable, you're open, and you're also going through a lot. If you're someone like me who's naturally a public person, who has their own personal brand, who puts themselves out there, like I have to put myself out there when life is good or when life is shitty, when life is confusing, when life is whatever it is. Maybe you can relate to that if you're a business owner, or you're just a brand, or you're just a person that shares their life. Like you definitely know what it's like to have seasons where you're like, I don't know. And like, what the hell are you supposed to do when you don't know? So I remember just feeling like, okay, I think I'm going to like not life coach anymore, even though I'm like still this coach internally and I'm still this motivational person internally, but I'm going to try some other things. Like, you know, I'm going to tap into that visionary, that idea person. You know, I'm a big creative person and I love ideas and I love creating things. That's a really, really big part of me. And I love leadership and teamwork and all these different aspects of who I am. And I had never like tapped into them fully. And so I think for me, like over the last year and a half, since I stopped doing life coaching and I put an end to Break the Weight, I started tapping into being more of a creator and creating videos for other companies and tapping into, you know, that visionary aspect of me, that innovative part of me. And it really felt very hard for me to bring that to my community or to my space. Because I think when you're known for something, or when you've been doing one thing this whole time, it's really hard to bring other parts of you into it. People might be confused and there's like so much of this fucking talk about like, find your niche. Just like, honestly, go fuck yourself. Like, give me a second to breathe. Like, let me just find me. They should change it to, instead of it being find your niche, it should be like, find yoush, like find mish. Find mish. I gotta find me. I don't know. It's really been frustrating me. And I think today is a really great way to start, like to talk about this. Cause like, I just didn't want to show up in general. And then it just made me think like, wow, how many times have I felt so uncomfortable showing up on Instagram or on social media because I've been confused or I've been in transition or I've tried something new or I don't know, is that on brand? I don't know, like all this bullshit, and it really eats at you. I don't know if you can relate to that, just maybe in general as like a human, take the social media aspect out of it for a second. Like as a human, you're known for one thing, you do one thing, you try other things. They don't fit maybe as well as you thought they would. You got to try something else. And then like, what do you do in the process? Like, how do you invite people into this journey that might seem like a little all over the place, even though it's your journey and everyone has their own journey? But like, how do you stay true to who you are if you don't know who you are? I mean, that's like the big thing, is that when you feel like you're changing or evolving, even though you don't really know where you're going and you're not exactly sure where you're headed, and you have 100 different ideas and you're trying all these different new things, it's like, what are you supposed to do? Do you take a break? Do you like shut social media off, Instagram off, and you're like, I'm not coming on here until I have it all figured out? Do you just tell people what you're going through? Do you just show up inauthentically? Do you just Google like, what do I post? And then just like start posting whatever Google spits at you? Like, I don't fucking know. It's really been a journey for me because I feel like I am a few different people, and I'm sure that you feel the same way. You know, you have different aspects of who you are. And it's hard when you're just like trying to figure it out. And Instagram used to be such a safe space for me. Like, I love to create. I love to motivate. I love to talk. Obviously, I love to inspire. I love to write. I love to share. You know, and I create videos for other people, and I love to create ideas. So like, I love being expressive, but my voice, like in the last year and a half, like, I don't know where it went. I felt so insecure, so like taken back, like shit. What do I talk about? Can I talk about that? Like, am I allowed to talk about that? Am I allowed to talk about that? Like, can I share this? What if people feel about this? And I'm like, oh my God. Like, it's not about fucking Instagram. Like how my lack of worth. Like if you took social media away and you took everything away, like all the fears that I had about showing up, I'm just like, wow, this is like so much deeper. Like, how do I just show up as me? And what I mean by that is like, how do you show up as you are right now? Not necessarily like, let me show up perfectly as me. I just want to show up as me right now. And like, okay, this is where I'm at. And I'm not going to stay here forever. You're not going to be at this place forever. I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of rambling. But like, that's me. I ramble, and it's the same idea of like, I could have showed up today and like spun a bunch of bullshit on you. And then like, I really wanted to show up today and like, I was super excited about it, or I could just have showed up as me, as I was right now. And I felt like that made more sense. And it's like it's like the same thing when I was just talking to Brandon, my producer. I was like, I honestly, like my biggest struggle in life right now is like figuring out, it's so embarrassing, figuring out my Instagram bio. But let me tell you something. It's so much deeper. You're like, Ricky, are you serious? And it's like, it's not just an Instagram bio. Like they give you a short amount of description to describe yourself. And I'm like, what? I'm a multi-passionate ADHD visionary human of a being, and you want me to describe myself in, I don't know how 100 characters, 620, I don't really know what it is. And it makes me feel anxious. And I'm like, I got 11, damn it. It was 11 o'clock. It makes me feel anxious because I feel like I have to put all these different things about me in one little area. And how the hell am I supposed to describe who I am in a little area? It really makes me anxious. I don't know if you feel the same way. It's like, do we have separate Instagram pages? Do I put this? Should I add this? What if I don't put that in? What if I don't add this? And I'm like, if someone can't, if that's the thing that like, you look at my Instagram bio and that's your deciding factor, whether or not like I'm worthy enough for you to like get to know or understand, then like, I'm not for you. Because I'm such a dynamic person and you're a dynamic person and I'm a multi-passionate person. I'm also a person that like definitely has gone through some shit and is going through a journey. So if you don't want to be on that journey with me and you can't navigate that journey with me, then I don't really want you a part of it at all, to be honest with you. And that's what I've been working on. I've been working on like just showing up as me wherever I am. And you know what's very interesting? It's really interesting because if you meet me, if you're watching this, you don't know me, I always show up as me, like physically, like when I speak into a room or when I'm leading someone or coaching someone or whatever the things that I do in my life, my family, my friends, like I'm always me 100%. I've never once like worried about walking into a room, and I've never asked myself like, who should I be? I'm just like, I'm me 100%. And I think that that's the problem, is that I am more of a person, like my energy is, it's not that it's better in person. I'm just like a very energetic person. You can really feel my presence when I'm in person. And so when I'm like online, it's like I don't have to try extra hard. Like you can feel my energy, but it's like more natural for me for you just to meet me and just to know me. I don't have to like explain myself to you. Because like we'll have certain conversations, you'll get to know me through that. Or like this podcast, right? Like I didn't give you a super clear distinction or vision of exactly what this is going to be at A, because like I'm still figuring it out. B, I felt strongly that if you just listen to it, you could get to know me and understand me through it. Instead of me being like, this is who I am, this is what I do, here are my credentials, blah, blah, blah. That was like why I created the podcast. Is like, honestly, self-expression plays for myself, but also just, I wanted a place to just not to have to explain who I am 100 million times. And so I think that that's always been an issue. Maybe you can relate to that. It's like, I feel, a lot of people feel like I love the online space. I'm so excited and proud of it. I love to be a creator, but I feel like I'm so many different things that like, I can't consolidate everything I am in like one paragraph or like one page. And that makes me anxious. Because I think, you know, some of it has stopped me from like evolving in certain aspects of my life. Because like, you know, they say like, pick a niche, pick this, pick that. But then there's like this whole other side that I feel very strongly that like the more I conform, the less I am me. Like it's hard for me to like just to focus on one thing. And I'm starting to think that's just because like, that's just not who I am. And I don't know if it's in the cards for me just to be one thing, just to do one thing. And I think when we run away from who we are and we listen to everybody else, we can't create success because it's like not true success. And so I remember like last year and a half, I just would ask people like, what do you think I should put on my profile? Like, what do you think I should do? Like, I have my marketing company, but like, I don't really talk about it. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? And it's like, if you have to ask every person around you what to do, like, you better get silent and like get quiet because they don't have the answers for you. I mean, feedback is great and suggestions are great and stories are great and you take a little bit from each. But like, if you're asking so many questions, you already know the fucking answer. The answer is within. And I think for me, that's like why I started this podcast was because like I felt trapped of like trying to figure out how to explain myself, and I needed a space to not have to do that. And I was just talking with Brandon too. I was like, it's like the same bullshit. It's like I have my Instagram, my Ricky Freeman brand, right? And then I have my marketing company, More Than Marketing, and then I have my Steps Forward with Ricky podcast. And here I am, and the dilemma is happening again, but only because I'm making it an issue. Like I'm separating all these parts of me when these are all one. Like I am Ricky, the speaker and the writer and the motivator. I'm also Ricky, the marketing girl who can create really cool videos, who's a visionary and an idea generator. I also love to lead people. I also have a podcast. And why do we separate all these parts of who we are? Aren't they just us? I don't know the exact answer, but I don't know. Maybe you can relate. It's like, how do you show up as you? How do you show up when life is weird? How do you show up when you don't want to? And how do you figure out if you should just combine everything? I don't know. It's just really been a hard struggle for me. And it's like, I'm so sick of it. I'm just like, who fucking cares anymore? Like, whatever. Just be you. Seriously. Like, think about a brand that you love. A person, not a product necessarily. Think about a person, a brand that you love. Like you don't love them because of just the programs that they offer. You love them because it's like who they are, what they talk about, what they sound like, the energy that they bring, the things that they bring into it. And I think that's really been the disconnect for me is like I have looked at all these things separate and they're just me. Like they're just you. Whether I show up and I'm sad, whether I show up and I've got a great idea, whether I show up and I want to talk about this or talk about that, like I'm just showing up as me. And that's been a disservice for me to show up as anything else because I feel like when I do, it's so you can feel it. Like you feel I'm too like real a person to fake it. And so my thing is like, if I can't be real, then I can't show up. That's why today we're talking about this and it's probably all over the place, but like, that's just what it is today. Might not be my best episode, but it is what it is and whatever. Like, I'm just happy I showed up. True. I honestly am just happy I showed up. Maybe you're happy you showed up. Maybe you really didn't feel like listening to me today. That's totally fair. I don't like to listen to myself a lot of the time either. But we show up and we have to show up as us. And when we show up, we actually leave differently because we showed up. So I'm going to leave it with a little more clarity today, even though I felt confused and anxious when I walked into the room. Showing up has helped me sort of process this and navigate through this. And I'm sort of doing it with you, which is totally fine. Maybe you're doing this in your life with other people. But I think the big lesson behind here is like, I don't know that there's like a right or wrong answer of like whether you should combine all your Instagram pages or whether you should like take a break if you don't know your vision or if you try something new. Like, I just think we're human beings on like a journey and I'm all about sharing the journey. So like for me, I just think it's better if I just show up as me. I believe it's better if you show up as you. And if that means coming on Instagram being like, hey, I'm fucking confused today, or this is a weird season for me, or I started this business and, I also have this thing and I have this thing and these are all the sides of me. Like, what if you just were honest? I don't know. I think the truth sets you free, but I think it also allows you to become like more you. And I think you realize, like, especially with like the last things I talked about, like the pod and all this different stuff that I've talked about that I felt so alone and like I realized that I'm not. Maybe if you're listening to this, you're like, wow, there's actually someone as crazy as me out there. And B, you're like, wow, okay, yeah. I literally feel the same way. Don't know what to put on my Instagram bio. Don't know if I should share my other business. Don't know if I can like still talk about this if I'm not coaching still. Like, don't know if I should share this. And it's like, oh my God, aren't you so sick of just like wondering what you should do? And maybe if we spent less time like thinking about what we should do and we just were like doing and we just existed as us, like we wouldn't have so many questions to ask ourselves or everyone else around us. So that's where I'm at. And I'm all right with that. And, you know, it's just sometimes the most important thing is just showing up. Just to be like, I showed up today. So like if I can show up today, whether that's on Instagram or on Facebook or my job or my relationship or during, you know, your podcast recording or on your walk, if that's the thing that you did today, that's great because you showed up. And that means you can show up again and again and again and again. And you can show up as you. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't try to always, you know, fake it a little bit. Like sometimes if you fake it till you make it, like you actually can like convince yourself that you're feeling better than maybe you were. But I also think like you don't have to fake it. Sometimes if you don't fake it, you actually just like feel better by just openly talking about it. So yeah, that's it. That's where I'm at. I showed up. You showed up. We should be proud of ourselves. And in terms of figuring out like if you should combine everything or what you should write in your Instagram bio or should you show up when life is whatever, like just show up as you and try that for a couple of weeks. And then you can figure out the fucking Instagram bio. You can figure out if you should share this. Like just show up as you. And I think if you can commit to that, to being authentic, like the rest will start to feel a little easier. But you don't have to have every answer right now. You just need to show up to find them.